Hi, hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Ruth. We're going to be talking about some cozy books in the healing fiction genre. If you're not familiar with this genre, it's originating in Eastern countries, like, for example, Japan, Korea. And these stories just follow ordinary people living their life and hopefully find some sort of healing along the way. And usually these stories take place in familiar places. For example, a lot of times they're written in coffee shops. You'll also read some stories in laundromats, for example. So this is the healing genre. I have three books from this genre and then a little bonus book that's not a part of it. The first one I'd like to talk about is Sweet Bean Paste. This one I rented from the library. This is literally and figuratively such a sweet book because this story is about a dorayaki shop owner. He doesn't know how to make his pastry well, and this cute little old lady comes along the way, Tokue, and she shows him the rope. And to me, this story has such a good message because you can learn, whether you're old or young, you can learn from each other skills, lessons, experiences that these people have. So, young or old, you can learn from each other. And I think this is such a nice, sweet story. There is a character that's kind of opposite of Tokue, and she is the shop owner. And I think personally, how they handle certain situations, to me, I think the way Tokue handles things is a better way. Another lesson that you'll learn from this book is listening. Listening is such a huge thing that Tokue tries to instill in the shop worker so that he can apply it in not only when he cooks, but also in his everyday life. I think the story just rounds out really well. And I love that the shop owner also sticks up for Tokue. And this book, for me, 4 stars. Would recommend you check this out if you haven't done so already. I didn't really talk about this character here. Personally, for me, she didn't really add to the story, in my opinion. However, I do like these two here. So this is the shop owner and this is the nice little old lady. The next book I'd like to talk about is called The Full Moon Coffee Shop. This story is about a coffee shop that randomly shows up when you need it. So there's no set location or anything like that. It just shows up. And what is so special about this coffee shop is also how the people in the coffee shop, they just know what you need, whether it's a certain type of coffee, dessert, or meal. They just know what to serve you in order to make you feel better and for you to come out knowing what you need to do. So this, in a way, is kind of like a therapeutic book where the customers that do encounter this coffee shop talk to the people that own the coffee shop and how they can fix the situation that they're in. One of the stories that stood out to me was this character. She was just unhappy with where she was at, and she's a writer. And so it made me think of, oh, in a way, if you just reframe some of your thoughts and the way you think, then maybe you can make your life better. So, for example, she's a writer, and let's say she was writing in a genre that she wasn't happy in. And then she finally found a genre that she loved. So I think that's great that she still utilizes her skills in writing, but just in a different way. And I think for some of us, we might think, oh, because I suck in this area, I might not be that might not be my purpose, or something like that. And so if we kind of just reframe how we think certain things or think outside the box, we can still do what we love and use our talents. The other thing, so as she's growing, another quote that I really like from this book, find it real quick. She was living in a same cheap studio apartment as before, but ever since her night at this mysterious coffee shop, she decided that however small her place was, she'd make it into somewhere she actually wanted to live. With that in mind, she'd embarked on a modest renovation. So this to me just makes me think of another quote. I'll leave up on the screen here, where you just have to learn to be content in the situation that you're in. Of course, being content does not mean that you don't have goals and that you can't strive for more things, but just wherever the season that you're at, I think it's worth to think about, hey, what makes me happy right now? And be thankful for what we have too, right? Because if you comparing is wrong, and it's hard not to not compare, but in comparison, there are a lot of people that are not in your situation, right? Maybe they have health issues, or they're just dealing with a lot of things that you're not dealing with. So we just have to be thankful and content with the things that we have. The Full Moon Coffee Shop, 4 stars from me. Next one is Convenience Store by the Sea. This one I'm going to give a 1 star because, one, the animal that is on the cover isn't really mentioned a lot in the book. And also, I didn't really get a reference of any ocean or water in the stories that were told in this book. I didn't really connect with any stories, and this is felt pretty sad because I feel like most of the healing stories that I've read so far have been pretty solid. So for this book specifically, 1 star. I'll also leave a link below where I've read other convenience store stories, and to me, I think that has a good balance of being in the convenience store and also incorporating the characters' lives into it. Another thing that I didn't really get the book is everyone thinks that the owner of the convenience store has this charisma or this vibe, and I don't see it written or expressed that obviously for me to also feel that way that other characters feel. So 1 star for me for the convenience store by the sea. This one is not part of the Cozy Book series, but I'm just going to throw it in there as well. This one I rented from the library. It's called Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Unfortunately, this one was not my favorite as well. I'm going to give this a 1 star. I had to renew this book a couple times, but I just knew I would not be able to finish it, and so I didn't. I actually stopped at page 227. I had a feeling I was going to not finish this book because just how slow the book was. I understand why the author got inspiration for what he did, because I did read the back of his book to see why he got inspiration to write this story. However, I just thought it was slow pacing. I didn't really like Yumi or the other character. This was kind of a not Freaky Friday, but like, they do switch places to try to understand each other's life and how they can help each other out. But to me, it was just too much of a slow pace for me to enjoy this book. So unfortunately, it is a 1 star for me. Favorite characters out of other books, Tokue, I think she was one of my favorites. And I did like a lot of the characters in the Full Moon. I wouldn't highlight specifically any of them, but I did enjoy reading their story. Okay, like always, please let me know your thoughts. If you've read any of these books, do you feel the same? Maybe you don't feel the same. Love to hear from you. Please leave a like, share, comment, rate, or subscribe. It will help me out a lot. I'll see you in the next video. Happy shelf surfing.